Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Recap with Richard. Today, we are recapping the most recent episode of the LTD Leadership Lean In. Thank you for the feedback, episode 5, which is part 2 of episode 4. And this one, we focus on giving feedback. Last episode was about receiving feedback, and now we are focused on giving the feedback. So I'm going to talk about the three most important parts when giving feedback, which are going to be the when, the how, and the who of giving the feedback. I do recommend listening to this full episode when you have the time, but this is just to cut to the chase for those who need to learn about it. So remember, when giving feedback, the first part, when you give feedback, the employee review process, which will happen, once a year, once every 6 months, every 90 days, depending on your property, depending on your company, depending on your individual process, is not often enough. If you're relying on this detailed evaluation or performance appraisal as the time to give feedback, then you have failed yourself and your associates. The more often we can give feedback, the better for everybody. It makes it more genuine, it makes it easy, and it removes that anxiety. If I'm receiving feedback from my supervisor constantly and consistently, then it no longer becomes something to fear or dread or regret. It becomes something that is so commonplace that it's just part of the everyday. So remember to give feedback often. Remember to give feedback evenly throughout so that it is not a time to bring that. If you do need to bring, if you are giving feedback at a time where it may be a sensitive area for the person, then consider postponing it later in the day, the next day. But the big part is to focus on doing it often. All right, so when. Number 2, how. So how we give the feedback. We talked about in last episode what we call ACE, the three types of feedback, three types of feedback: appreciation, coaching, and evaluation. So evaluation would be that big piece of, the annual appraisals or whatever you want to call them. The appreciation and the coaching. Appreciation, or when it's time to coach, we like to partner that with appreciation and feed that in, but we need to remember to also offer appreciation exclusively at times. If every time we offer appreciation it is followed with a but, however, you're doing a great job, but yeah, I really appreciate what you did yesterday with the performance, but it could have been better, then your appreciation is going to be lost on whoever you're aiming it at, and it's less genuine. And obviously I'm not going to want to listen to it anymore if you keep following it with that but. So when there is an opportunity to show true appreciation, let it just ring by itself. Save that coaching for another session. But when it is time to coach, let's make sure that we do offer at least a sign of appreciation, whether it's directly in that effort of using it in the same sentence, or making sure that we note the things that the associate or the person that we're giving that feedback to is doing, so that they understand that we see both the good and the bad. So when you give feedback, how you give feedback, and finally, who gives the feedback. So who gives the feedback obviously is you. That's why we're talking about this. We're talking about how to give feedback. You are the who. But who you are to this person you're giving the feedback is that relationship that you've built over time. If you have not talked to this person in over a year and it's time to give feedback, you are a person, you are an outsider as that person. Nobody's listening to you. So remember, in processing the how and the when of feedback you've given all year, that you, the who, is now somebody who's there in their corner to watch them build, watch them grow, and that this feedback that is coming to them is no longer a item that's going to give them animosity or anxiety, but it is something that they're excited and ready to receive from you. So when, how, who, those are the three important facts of when giving feedback. Feel free to see our leadership guide to get more information on this. Watch the full episode when you have the time, even if you got to digest it in pieces. All right, again, I am Richard. This is my recap. I think that I did it under 5 minutes. Leadership guide, download. And if you have any questions, as always, ltdleanin@gmail.com. Thank you. Until next time, have a great day.